today from the Lloyd Noble Center on the campus of Oklahoma University in Norman. The Kansas State Wildcats meet the Oklahoma Sooners. Big 8 basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66. Good things for cars and the people who drive them. And by Budweiser. And by Counter. And by True Value Hardware. And by AT&T. And by Ford and your Ford dealers. It's standing room only at Lloyd Noble Center on the campus of the University of Oklahoma as the 4th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners battle the Kansas State Wildcats, ranked 14th. And the winner of this one is going to sit on top of the Big 8 race. Hello again, everybody. I'm Merle Harmon to call the play-by-play and to analyze the action is former coach Glenn Potter. Well, Glenn, this is a terrific matchup, and especially since Kansas State has played Oklahoma so tough in the last few years.
Well, that's the truth. They've won 2 in a row from the Sooners. Not many teams can claim that. Kansas State is led by an outstanding player named Mitch Richmond. Mitch is 6'5". He's averaging close to 25 points a game in the conference, shooting 50% from the field, 48% from the three-point area, and he had 33 the last time out against the Sooners.
All eyes are going to be on him this afternoon as far as Kansas State is concerned. You can believe that. Stacey King, number 33, has just been fabulous for OU, especially in the last 4 games.
You're right. He's been a dominant force inside. He had 40 against Missouri last week. He's averaging also close to 25 points a game in the conference play, 20 on the season. He's really the type of player that you need if you want to win an NCAA championship.
Kansas State won the game at Manhattan earlier this year. Kansas State also scored 10 unanswered points in a minute and 17 seconds to beat the Sooners here last year. We'll be back with the lineups after this message from your friends at Phillips 66. Glenn, we've got an interesting matchup today. Oklahoma averaging 105 points a game against Kansas State, which averages 76. But Kansas State has its own game plan. So does OU. What will be the secret or the success of either team today?
I really think tempo is extremely important to the Wildcats. They have got to hold the score down. They've got to be able to handle the ball against the full court press. If the Sooners get a lot of turnovers early in the contest, they're off and running. But if you can neutralize that press, the Wildcats will stay in the game.
All right, let's go to Mike Steele for the announcement of the starting lineup for today's game.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The University of Oklahoma welcomes you to the Lloyd Noble Center for today's Big 8 conference game between the Kansas State Wildcats and the Oklahoma Sooners. Let's meet the starting lineups for today's Big 8 game. First of all, for the visitors from Manhattan, Kansas. At 1 forward, number 23, Mitch Richmond. At the other forward, number 32, Charles Bledsoe. At center, number 44, Fred McCoy. At 1 guard, number 14, William Scott. And at the other guard, number 12, Steve Henson. And now, introducing your Oklahoma Sooners. At 1 forward, number 44, Dave Seeger. At the other forward, number 25, the General. At center, number 33, Stacey Sky King. At guard, number 14, Ricky Amazing Grace. And at the other guard, number 10, Mookie Laylock.
All right, it's Billy Tubbs Sooners against Lon Kruger's Wildcats, and 3 other important members of the cast today will be the officials. Ron Zechter, Ron Grissom, and Stan Reynolds. Kansas State and Oklahoma battling for the Big 8 lead. We'll be back after these messages from your friends at Phillips 66. This telecast is a copyrighted presentation of Raycom Sports, and any reuse of this telecast without the express consent of Raycom Sports is prohibited. Kansas State has won 14 and lost 5. They've lost some close ones. They're 6-1 in Big 8 play. As far as Oklahoma is concerned, 21-2 and 7-1 in the conference, and here we go. And Oklahoma controls, and Ricky Grace, the point guard, takes over. Remember, Oklahoma has roared over 100 points 13 times this year. Can they do it against the Wildcats? Wildcats, a very patient, well-coached team. That's King trying to get it going, and up in the air goes the ball. Comes down in the hands of Mitch Richmond.
Oklahoma did not shoot well against the Wildcats in Manhattan. In fact, for the game, they were only 31%. They're going to certainly have to improve upon that this afternoon.
Mitch Richmond has drawn an awful lot of attention. There are a lot of pro scouts here today to look at both these teams.
5-second count. One of the things that it looks like Oklahoma wants to do is put the pressure on early. If they score a basket, I'm sure we're going to see that full court zone trap. But if they don't score a basket, they can't afford to let Mitch Richmond get on track.
All right, we have a little discussion at midcourt. Apparently, the basketball might be slick and a little bit difficult to handle, and so a request has been made for a new basketball.
Yeah, oftentimes when you break that new ball out, it is slick. And even with the big hands the players have today, they have trouble controlling it the way they want.
They got to get some of that Delaware mud that they use in baseball and rub it down good before a game.
I remember when they used to use that stickum.
Yeah. Back to the old leather ball, huh? Okay, this one has been approved by both teams, and here we go. It'll be Oklahoma's ball to play in. Oklahoma has lost in the conference only to Kansas State at Manhattan earlier this year.
Kansas State started the season with full court pressing, but they said when they met Purdue and they were defeated soundly, they went strictly to a man-for-man, and they quit extending their defense, and they're going to play the Sooners tough inside.
Kansas State comes out of there with a rebound. Last week against Missouri on this floor, Oklahoma came out and made those shots and started roaring right from the very beginning of the ball game.
Also keep in mind, if you don't score the field goal, you have a tough time getting into your full court press.
Three-point effort will not go down by Richmond, and Oklahoma rebounds, and Oklahoma absolutely dominated the game on the boards last week against Missouri, which was a little bit of a surprise.
Well, Kansas State's the best rebounding team in the conference. They're not the tallest by any means, but they'll put a body on you. They're very physical.
King trying to get Oklahoma a lead, and we've got a pushing off foul call. It's going to be logged against Charles Bledsoe, number 32 of Kansas State, the 6'7" senior out of St. Louis.
One of the problems when you front in the post area is that you end up losing good rebound position. Look at the inside position that Harvey Grant had. No question about it. Bledsoe pushed.
And you mentioned that as Billy Tubbs looks on about the position. And I think that was really the key to OU's dominance of the board last week against Missouri. Three-point effort by Ricky Graves.
Both teams make the three-point shot an integral part of their offense. Kansas State shoots a better percentage from the three-point range, but Oklahoma outscores them in that category simply because they put up more shots.
And here comes that full court pressure that you were talking about on the out of bounds, but Kansas State gets the ball to the front court in a hurry, and that ball is knocked out of bounds by Mookie Blaylock, number 10.
Blaylock plays that passing lane as well as any guard probably in the NCAA today. You got to make sure that when he's playing on the defense that you take the ball to him and don't allow him the luxury of setting up between two offensive players.
Oklahoma leading 3-0, and now Kansas State is on the board as Bledsoe, who has averaged 9 a game, gets to it. It's 3-2 Oklahoma, and we have played a little over 2 minutes.
Henson really made a nice penetration, a nice pass on that last play. But Seeger's been in a slump until last week. He started to break out against Missouri. And I'll tell you what, if he cranks it up, he holds the record, I think, in the conference for 8 three-pointers in one game.
Here comes the backcourt pressure, and Seeger commits a foul. That is a foul that Billy Tubbs, I'm sure, would not like to see happening here this early in the game.
When you get into a trap, Seeger's responsibility is don't let the man go down the sideline, and he gave him that half step. Richmond took advantage of it.
Kansas State will play the ball in, each team with one foul. Kansas State is 7th nationally in three-point shooting. You alluded to that a moment ago. They've hit 49% of the shots in the three-point range. That's a three-point effort. It will not go for William Scott. And a follow does go, however, by Bledsoe, who has accounted for all 4 Kansas State points, and the Wildcats are down 6-4.
Bledsoe is a great offensive rebounder. In one contest this year, he had 8 offensive rebounds. They're going to have to block him off.
King a little bit off in close right now, and Kansas State zips it into the front court, and Richmond lets fly and swisheroo.
Only a 2-pointer. He had his foot across the line when he took the shot. I tell you, they used to say get a numbers advantage. Not anymore. You come down, you're open, let it fly.
With the score tied at 6, Grant unties it real quick. Like Harvey, who's averaged 22 points a game, is on the board. Here comes the pressure by OU now in the trap. And Kansas State having difficulty. Grant, I believe, knocked the ball out of bounds, and it'll be played in by Kansas State.
It looks like Oklahoma's changed their strategy on that full court press. When they double team, they're shooting the gap on the man that takes the ball out of bounds, which leaves the long diagonal pass open. Normally you can concede a backward pass, but not today.
Kansas State down by 2, can tie on a 2-pointer on this trip down the floor. Mitch Richmond, a 6'5" senior from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, has captured it. Imagine it. 5 seconds again. He got caught.
You actually have 12 seconds if you hold the ball for 4, dribble for 4, and then hold for 4. But he held the ball for 5. He never did put it on the floor. That's the second. The 5-second count against Richmond.
Richmond, I started to say, has captured the imagination, the eyes of not only fans but also scouts as Grant drives the lane, penetrating for 2, and it's 10-6 Oklahoma.
Is he a versatile player? He can put that ball on the floor for somebody 6'9", and the Wildcats are struggling against the press.
Oklahoma really worked on this yesterday afternoon in their drills, and now it's starting to pay off. And quickly, a timeout is called. Kansas State will try to keep Oklahoma from getting a run. 10-6 OU, and we'll return right after these messages. Back at Norman, Oklahoma, and Ron Meyer has come in for Kansas State. Ron is a 6'9" senior from Wichita, Kansas. Oklahoma handling the ball. Oklahoma leading by a score of 10-6. We've played 4 minutes here in Norman. Grace going to the inside as King makes his move, and it goes down for him.
If you let the center take the baseline, you really have very little defensive help. You've got to turn him back to the middle. Notice how close to the baseline Kansas State's getting the ball in bounds. That really makes it more difficult for the offense to advance the ball down the court.
Blaylock almost had a steal here. There's a shot block at a 2-on-1, 2-on-2 now breakout as Grace hits the middle and fires away. 5 points for Ricky Grace, who has averaged 15 this year.
They talk about the offensive explosion of the Sooners. I'll guarantee you they create a lot of points simply because of their defense.
Kansas State, and again a takeaway. King comes out of there with it after the ball was knocked away. 3-on-1. Grant at the baseline, and it will not go.
And they're going to call Stacey King going over the back.
So King picks up his first foul.
One thing, once that ball gets by you and you're a defensive guard, you want to sprint to catch up to the line of the ball. Ricky Grace, you just saw, did an exceptional job. Knocked it away. Stacey King grabbed possession.
Kansas State to inbound the ball, and here it comes. Mitch Richmond, certain to be a top draft choice in the NBA. They're all talking about him, the complete player, and the ball again knocked away. This time it's Blaylock who steals it. And a right side feed, and Grace misses. The bank shot, Kansas State clears it out of there as Steve Henson is fouled by Grace. And Billy Chubb says, well, we wouldn't do a thing like that.
Watch as Richmond penetrates into the middle, how that defensive man comes over and helps out. Now you know why Mookie Blaylock leads the NCAA in steals.
And by the way, speaking of steals, Oklahoma is on the verge of setting a Big 8 record. And this is Richmond, yes.
The last 2 times the Wildcats have thrown over the top of the press, and they've been successful getting the ball down the floor. That time he scored.
6-point lead now for the Sooners. Ricky Grace from Dallas, Texas, by way of Midland, Texas, JUCO. 3-point shot on the way will not go down for Mookie Blaylock. And now Kansas State has the ball and brings it up the floor, and it is Mitch Richmond who handles it. Richmond, again, this time it was King who batted the ball away, and King tried to stuff it and missed, and he is fouled by William Scott, number 14.
King has gotten off to a slow start. You know he's really excited, and I thought he had that stuff in the basket. Will Scott just nudged him enough, I think, to throw him off balance. How would you like your 6'10" center to be leading the fast break?
Oh, man. He is something else. We mentioned his 40 points last week against Missouri. That's a career high. He's averaged over 28 points a game in the last 4 ball games, but he's also been a very good rebounder. He is really starting to make his presence felt.
Kansas State has got to get back to, I think, their original game plan. This is a little faster tempo than I think they wanted to play.
In that game at Manhattan this year, they held the Oklahoma Sooners to under 70 points, winning it by a score of 69-62. Kansas State to inbound. Here comes the pressure, the trap at the baseline, and now Kansas State will get it across from Steve Henson out of McPherson, Kansas. And now again he gets double teamed, winds up with the ball, feeds it off on the baseline, and that shot drops right in for Charles Bledsoe, who now has 6 points.
Was that a great pass by Steve Henson? Oklahoma just isn't trapping in the backcourt. They're also trapping in the front court. So Kansas State's got to be alert, be ready to penetrate the basket.
Kansas State coming back with a rebound after Seeger had missed a 3-point effort. Steve Henson. Looks like Kansas State might be feeling a little more comfortable right now. That turnaround shot hits the back of the rim by Ron Meyer. Here come the Oklahoma Sooners.
That's a story in itself, isn't it?
Oh, boy. And how. On the turnovers, you see what Oklahoma creates. Havoc. Grant, yes. 6 points for Harvey Grant, who is averaging 22 a game this year.
Stan Reynolds just told Kansas State, it's not my responsibility to get the ball for you. You go get it.
And Kansas State clears it into the front court.
Got a 3-on-2. Did not take advantage of it. They're trying to get back into that slower tempo, which I really think they need to establish to stay into the ball game.
Bledsoe has the ball knocked away, clears it back out to William Scott. Ricky Grace has him in the man match, and now King gets hit with the second foul, and that's pretty early, and Billy Tubbs will not like that because we have 12:44 to go in the first half, and King has picked up number 2, and it looks like Billy's going to make a switch.
Mike Bell will be coming in the lineup. That time, Myers really did a nice job of sealing off King, and King was a little too aggressive in trying to go over the top.
Mike Bell into the game from Montgomery, Alabama, and going to the sideline is Stacey King.
Mike Bell is not as tall as Stacey King, but he's an exceptional leaper, and he's in the top 10 in the conference in block shots, even though he's played limited minutes.
Steve Henson, the 6'1" sophomore from McPherson, Kansas, excellent ball handler, excellent quarterback for this very talented Kansas State team. That's a 3-point effort that's good by William Scott.
That time Oklahoma went into its zone defense on a baseline out-of-bounds play, and somebody failed to go out and cover the corner.
5-point lead for the Sooners. That's Blaylock trying to get it back, and we've got a push and off foul somewhere underneath. I think it's on Harvey Grant.
Merle, one thing about playing against the Sooners, you know that they're going to put the ball up. Now Blaylock had a good shot, and we'll watch Grant push from the backside. Good camera working.
Buster Glover is coming to the game, number 11 for William Scott for the Kansas State Wildcats.
Oklahoma changed their press. They didn't cover the man taking the ball out of bounds. They fronted the 4 people up, and Harvey Grant was looking for the lob.
Henson takes over, setting the Kansas State offense in motion. 18-13 Oklahoma. Oklahoma's committed 5 team fouls. Kansas State only 2. Richmond going for a pair, and Seeger clears the board out. Here come the Sooners on the run, 3-on-2, and Bell will get hit with a charging foul. He banged into Steve Henson.
Well, you talk about the fast break. One of the reasons that Oklahoma is so good is their front line is mobile. They can get out and fill those lanes. Bell was called for the charge, but he's also a center.
So here in Norman, Oklahoma leads 18-13, and we'll be back with more exciting Big 8 basketball after this. through the new NFL Citibank Visa card. Now carry the card of your favorite team and earn free NFL gear just for using it. Call 1-800-NFL-VISA today.
The University of Oklahoma is coming down on a fast break. Let's see if Steve Hansen gets those feet established. Well, anytime they come chest to chest like that, I would certainly say the defense has the advantage. Good call.
Here come the Wildcats. Front court in a hurry. Look at that field goal percentage for the early going. We have less than 12 minutes to play now in the first half. Kansas State trailing by 5. Here comes the count again on the movement of the ball. Yes?
Glover's in the lineup for the Wildcats.
And Glover is a 6-footer out of Gary, Indiana. Good fake, and the ball is put up by Richmond.
They're clearing the side of the court for Mitch Richmond and letting him go one-on-one. The time before, when he went one-on-one, it was the top of the key. The four teammates flattened out on the baseline. Seeger's got his hands full.
Grant trying to save it, does to Seeger, who gets double-teamed for a moment. Now Blaylock tries to go into Grant, and a foul is going to be called on Kansas State, and it's on Bledsoe.
It looked like they also could have called that on Henson, who was dropping in from the guard spot.
The 1988 Big 8 Conference Women's Basketball Tournament will be held March 5th through the 7th in Salina, Kansas. Advanced tickets may be obtained by calling the Bicentennial Center ticket office at 913-823-2288.
Watch when the ball goes inside with Blaylock. Watch Hansen drop down inside, took a swipe at it, hit him on the arm, but there was also a push from the rear.
Seeger for 3 off the back of the rim, and here come the Wildcats. And Butch Glover zips it into the front court in a hurry.
And this is the kind of tempo that the Wildcats need to keep. Continue.
McCoy. So McCoy, who has averaged 12, is on the board for the first time, and Kansas State is down by 1. Seeger, excellent outside shooter, turns down an opportunity there. Blaylock almost was going to go for it. Now they try to open Grace up, and Grace starts to penetrate, lays it back for Blaylock's three-pointer.
That's what makes them so tough to defend. If you sag off into the middle, they've got 3 players that can kill you from the outside.
Oklahoma goes up 21-17. Buster Glover over to Ron Meyer, and they keep looking for Mitch Richmond. Got a foul called on rookie Grace of Oklahoma. It'll be his second. That's his 7th team foul against the Sooners.
Both teams make sure they have at least 2 players situated in the 3-point area, so if the defense collapses when you penetrate in the middle, they can kick it off for the 19-20-foot jump shot.
Billy Tubbs, outstanding record here at OU. This is Mark Dobbins, who is coming into the game, a 6'5" junior from Humboldt, Kansas, and going to the bench is Ron Myers. So they give up a little height there.
Yes, they do, but Mark Dobbins is an excellent outside shooter. Did not have a good season last year, but this year he's shooting 61% from the field.
Richmond, outstanding game in Manhattan, outstanding game here last year against Oklahoma, as he has 7 points on the board now, and it's 21-18 Oklahoma. In the games remaining, Kansas State, as we look at the stats on Richmond, he connects on both of them. Kansas State has road games with Iowa State and Nebraska, and at home plays Colorado, KU, Oklahoma State, and Missouri.
Well, they've got their work cut out for them. On the other hand, Oklahoma has the majority of their games here at home.
That shot missed by Grant. Follow is good. And Mookie Blaylock.
As good athletes as the Sooners are, you've got to make sure that you block out the guards as well as the front line. Oh, nice pass by McCoy.
And a miss underneath by Richmond. Oklahoma brings it back. 23-19 Sooners. Blaylock 2-point effort. Yes. 7 points for Blaylock. Oklahoma 3 out of 7 for the 3-pointers. Kansas State 1 for 3. Kansas State, as we mentioned, leads the conference in 3-point effort. That's a foul on Grace.
Grace has really matured this year as a player. In fact, he's better in every statistical category in comparison to his junior year. But we saw a couple weeks ago he got into foul trouble at Iowa State, and the Sooners had some problems without his proven leadership in the backcourt.
Terrence Mullins comes into the game for Oklahoma. Ricky Grace goes out. Grace is already carrying 3 fouls. Stacey King has 2, and we have 9:20 to go in the first half. And Steve Henson will go to the line for a 1-1.
Wildcats, number 12, Steve Henson, 1-1.
That's got to hurt. Grace is so unselfish on offense, handles the ball extremely well. Mullins, who's taken his place, a good outside shooter, but he doesn't have the ball handling and leadership skills that a Ricky Grace does.
Oklahoma, by the way, has road games with Oklahoma State and Missouri and home games with KU, Colorado, and Nebraska before the season comes to an end. Both of them are in there, 25-21, and let's see, there's a two-point shot.
And Mullins, you sit on that bench for 10 minutes, you come in relatively cold, and your first shot goes down from the outside. Good performance.
Blaylock knocking the ball away, out of bounds, played in by Kansas State. Oklahoma continues to put the pressure on. Every time that Kansas State brings a new man off the bench, Oklahoma will really put the pressure on him, and we have a technical call on Oklahoma.
And I'm not sure what the reason is. If Billy Tubbs said something, or he went out of the coach's box.
He might have stepped over the line. I don't know.
Blaylock really did a nice job shooting the gap, knocked the ball out of bounds. Kansas State is getting the ball inbounds so close to the baseline that really it's like adding two defenders to the attack because they've got to worry about the baseline as well as the sideline.
Lon Kruger says we're the good guy. Billy's a bad guy. Technical, 2 shots coming. And guess who's on the line? Henson is a 91% free throw shooter.
Great free throw shooter. I think as a freshman last year, he shot something like 86, 87%.
By the way, speaking of free throws, in that win by Kansas State over Oklahoma, what did they hit? They hit about 26 out of 28 free throws or something like that?
In the last dozen games, I think they've shot 84% from the free throw line in the last 2 minutes. So when it comes down to crunch time, they've been extremely good.
27-23, Oklahoma. Henson, Blaylock after him in the man defense. And Blaylock gets a hand out there and takes the ball away. Foul by Henson.
Should be good because when he slapped the backboard, it caused it to vibrate.
Watch the quick hands of Blaylock.
He plays that passing lane as well as any guard in America, as we mentioned before. You've got to make sure you come to meet that basketball. Either that or the man who's going to get set to make the pass has got to create a passing angle by putting it on the floor.
And coming in for Kansas State is William Scott, number 14. Going to the bench is Buster Glover, number 11. And Tony Martin checks in for Oklahoma. Going to the sideline is Mike Bell. Turnovers, 8 for Kansas State, only 1 for OU.
Good job of Mookie Blaylock getting in that passing lane and deflecting the ball.
Kansas State trying to save it, does. As McCoy got it off the baseline, foul is called. Number 24, Terrence Mullins of Oklahoma.
No question that he had his arm. Mullins shook his head in agreement with the official when he blew the whistle.
Oklahoma, very, very difficult team to beat on this floor. The last 75 games the Sooners have played here at Lloyd Noble Center, they've lost only 2. One was to Kansas State last year. The other was a couple of years ago to KU. Scott. Seeger rebound. And the Sooners have a 29-23 lead with 8:37 to go in the first half. Blaylock looks to the inside. Tony Martin is back there. Fans getting restless. There's 30 seconds on the shot clock, and the Sooners haven't put it up. Martin does.
He's a good, solid player. Not flashy, but he gets the job done.
Again, Kansas State getting pressure to the backcourt, and Richmond will go all the way in. That arching high, in and out. Attempted follow shot is not good, but Martin fouls. It was Dobbins who tried to get it back up there. Anthony Martin committed the foul.
Richmond hesitated. Looked like he was going to dish the ball off here. Kept it. Went up for the jump shot. Hit on that back rim. Did everything but go in. But look at the good rebounding position by Dobbins.
Buster Glover is coming back in. William Scott goes to the bench for Kansas State.
At the line for the Wildcats, number 41.
Mark Dobbins, 6'5" junior from Humboldt, Kansas, on the line.
Scott went out of the lineup limping. It looked like he must have sprained his ankle.
Won't go for Mark Dobbins. Kansas State needs all those free throws. They have 8 minutes in a one-on-one situation to go in the first half.
They're an excellent free throw shooting team. Scott, who missed the time before, shooting 88% for the season from the line.
It is now 31-24 Oklahoma, 8:04 to go in the first half. Seeger, three-point effort.
They're going to have to match up to those outside people a little bit closer. One of the secrets to be able to hit that outside shot is to have the freedom to shoot it. And the coach is giving them that green light.
Mullins is really putting the push on in the backcourt defensively, and a steal now by Blaylock, and he does it again.
Richmond has not had a good first half when you start looking at turnovers. You can't turn your back on the defense.
Oklahoma streaks to a 12-point lead as Seeger knocks the ball away on the inbound. And William Scott will come back in for Kansas State. We've got a timeout in Norman. We'll return after this from your friends at Phillips 66. Just a reminder that later in the game, Glenn and I will be selecting our Ford Player of the Game. Near the end of our telecast, the Ford Player of the Game selection, so stay with us. Lon Kruger, who played his collegiate ball at Kansas State, was an outstanding performer, an outstanding coaching record. He spent 4 years at Pan American down in Edinburgh, Texas, and then took over Kansas State last year and wound up as a 20-game winner in his first season.
He resurrected the Kansas State program, took over from Coach Hartman, who had done an excellent job over the years. But Lon Kruger's a good coach, good solid coach. I think his team is really a reflection of his personality.
They play with a lot of confidence and they play with a lot of poise, but then you run into Oklahoma, who does this sort of thing defensively in the backcourt, and this is liable to get anybody a little excited.
For the most part, Kansas State has handled the full court press extremely well, but where they've really struggled is once they've gotten the ball into the front court. It seems like Oklahoma has really put the clamps on men. It's led to a number of turnovers.
Mullins forced the turnover. Lon Kruger wanted a foul called here.
Oh, yeah, his pivot foot slid 3 or 4 inches on the floor. He drug it.
Blaylock for three. This one will not go down for him, and they really go after it, and Blaylock picks up an easy one.
There were so many bodies in the paint, and the ball came free, and when Blaylock got it from 15 feet, he was wide open.
13 points for Mookie Blaylock, and he is averaging 17 a game. And that shot is blocked, but it is out of bounds to Kansas State. Blocked by Terrence Mullins, and the Sooners go into a little act on the baseline.
Now, McCoy is not the quickest player in the world. He has a wide body, and he hesitated a little bit. He really didn't go full steam, and nice block as far as Mullins was concerned, but he stepped on the baseline when he gained possession.
That basket's going to be good by Mitch Richmond, and he'll go to the free throw line as well.
One thing I like about Kansas State, they just keep coming back for more. They will pound you.
It is now 38-26 Oklahoma.
What's that block shot? Mullins, you can see his foot on the line. Gets a little bit excited.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Yes, you did. 2 fouls on Mullins. Richmond for a three-point play, and he's got it.
Next 5 or 6 minutes. Extremely important to the Wildcats. They can't come up with 3 or 4 more turnovers and let the Sooners get another big run on them.
Mullins takes it back to the outside, and Blaylock trying to go inside again to Grant. Bangs it up, and the follow is good by Tony Martin.
Well, that's because the defense was helping out on the drive, which means that a guard has got to rotate down and block out the big man inside.
Kansas State getting pressure to the backcourt. Henson brings it over the line, and it is 40-27 Oklahoma with 6:21 to go in the first half here in Norman. Merle Herman and Glenn Potter with you. We have more Big 8 basketball coming along right after this game on Raycom, so be sure to stay with us. From the outside, Richmond for three. It's going to be short of the mark, and here comes Blaylock again. Blaylock has had an outstanding first half.
Exceptional. He's been good inside, outside. He's come up with a number of steals.
Seeger going into Grant off the baseline. And it is Richmond who pulls down the rebound. He's averaged 6 a game this year.
Kansas State's offense has really pretty much gone to Mitch Richmond. He goes one-on-one until he's double-teamed, and he kicks the ball off. Or if he's not double-teamed, he's going to penetrate and try and get the shot.
Henson at the baseline, and it's Meyer, whose shot is partially blocked, but a foul is called on Mookie Blaylock. And that'll be his first.
Henson has the ball. Nice pass out of the double team. Watch Meyer penetrate. Martin steps in and is called for the foul.
So Martin, let me double check here, now has 2 fouls, and on the free throw line is Ron Meyer, the senior from Wichita, Kansas. Kansas State having problems on the line.
Yeah, Ron is not one of their better free throw shooters, only 63% from the stripe.
Kansas State needs a win. The winner of this game goes into sole possession of first place in the Big 8 Conference. It is now 40-28 as Oklahoma again, or still, or whatever, is leading by 12. I believe that's been their biggest lead. And this is the second time. King, and he is fouled by Ron Meyer, number 45.
One thing that opens that up, since they hit that three-pointer so well, the defense has to come out and challenge them. That time he gave a nice pass to Stacy on the hand on the baseline side of the floor. He pivoted, jumped, shot the shot. Myers blocked, hit his arm.
Stacy King is on the line. He really wants to have a great game today, and he wants to have it for a good fan of his and a young man in Elmore City, Oklahoma. Brett Stubblefield, who's 11 years old, and Stacy said before the game, if I do well today, and I'm sure going to try, it's going to be for Brett, and he wanted to wish him well. King, 6 points, 1 rebound now. That shot will not go for Meyer, and Oklahoma comes off the board with the ball. Seeger, three-point range, doesn't go for it. King does the turnaround. It won't go. The tip won't go either. And Meyer, whose muscle is becoming visible now at both ends of the floor, may not be the guy with the most finesse, but he's willing to get in there and put his body to work.
Mookie Blaylock almost had a tip in.
Kansas State needing something here, and that ball was almost tipped in. Here comes Blaylock. Oklahoma zipping it into the front court in a hurry. Blaylock takes the outside shot.
You've got to stop the dribble. Pick up that dribbler, especially when he's in the middle of the court. Make him dish the ball off.
44-28 Oklahoma. Steve Henson across the timeline, and the three-point shot by Scott is not good, and King rebound. King had it blocked up pretty well there. Here comes Blaylock again.
I'm convinced that quick shot by the Wildcats is getting them in trouble.
Steve Henson gets his 3rd foul. Kansas State cannot afford to lose this guy. Billy Tubbs feeling very comfortable right now.
Dish the ball down inside. Martin gets it. No question about the contact with Henson.
Let me double check my book. That's his 2nd foul on Steve Henson, not 3. 16 fouls against Kansas State. The inbounds taken away by Kansas State, and the Wildcats pull a little thievery. Timeout, Kansas State. So 4 minutes, 8 seconds remain to be played in the first half. Oklahoma leading it by a score of 44-28. Oklahoma going for its 22nd win of the year and 8th of the conference. We'll return right after these messages. Free throw line. Kansas State 9 out of 12. The percentages looks okay, but you got to think of the 1-and-1s they've missed on.
That's true, Merle. And the Wildcats, really, I think Lon Kruger called that timeout because he felt like the tempo was getting out of hand. In the last 4 or 5 minutes, they can't afford to have Oklahoma make another long streak.
Kansas State in possession. Ron Meyer comes back for Richmond and his three-pointer, and that's 14 points for Mitch Richmond, who's averaged 23 points a game this year.
Richmond did a nice time when the job that time. When the ball went inside, he slid out of line between his defensive man and was able to get that return pass.
Tony Martin is fouled on that shot. I think Bledsoe will get it. He will.
Watch the pass go inside by Mullins to Martin. Richmond dropped off. Well, there's no question about the contact.
Bledsoe now has 3 fouls. Bledsoe has been playing outstanding ball. He's been hot since the Big 8 season began. He's hit 58% of his shots from the field. Against Missouri Tuesday night in the loss there, he had 15 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks. That's how important he is to Kansas State. Now he's in foul trouble with 3 here in the first half. We'll have some switches. Bledsoe will go to the bench. Dobbins comes back, and McCoy comes back for Kansas State. Meyer goes to the bench for the Wildcats.
Let's see if the Wildcats might go inside and see if they can pick up a 3rd foul on Stacey King.
Martin connects. It is 45-31 Oklahoma. Kansas State to inbound the ball. Here comes the pressure, and at the baseline, Kansas State is having a problem, but finally gets it across court, and then McCoy loses it out of bounds. That pressure is really driving Kansas State crazy.
Yes, it is, and they had a player break into the middle of the floor about a 15 to 20-foot pass that would have been a better choice than the long pass Dobbins made.
Seeger for 3.
Mitch Richmond's just shaking his head. What more can I do?
Seeger with 3 3-pointers now. And Oklahoma leads 48-31. Oklahoma bound and determined that they're going to put this one away early and not let the Wildcats even get within striking distance in the second half. Here's Richmond penetrating. Richmond fouled by Blaylock. I think it was Blaylock.
Isn't Kansas State the only team that the Sooners have not scored 100 points on?
That's true. And Kansas State has never been victimized by those 3-digit scores by any Big 8 team. And they're halfway to that century mark, just about. Richmond, 15 points here in the first half.
I know. At the top telecast, we mentioned that Kansas State scored the last 12 points last year to upset the Sooners here in Norman, 90-89.
Boy, that last one was a killer, too. It was Richmond who hit it, an 18-foot jumper with 2 seconds left. And the Sooners were absolutely stunned. King on the turnaround. Will not go for him today. It's one of those days, Stacy. Is close, but not quite. And the 3-point shots, Oklahoma, 5 out of 10. Kansas State, the best 3-point shooting team in the league, 2 for 6. Trap on the sideline, but Henson eludes the trap. We have 2:32 to go in the first half. 27 seconds on the shot clock now for Kansas State. To the inside for McCoy. McCoy got it up, but it won't go down. King pulls it off for Oklahoma.
McCoy did everything possible to draw that foul. Stacey King very wisely stayed on his feet.
Seeger, if he's outside that circle, look out. Blaylock, too, turns it down. Goes into Martin, and his shot is off the rim, and Kansas State gets the rebound. Kansas State is 6-1 in conference play. Oklahoma is 7-1. Kansas State was knocked out of the undefeated ranks in conference play by Missouri earlier this week. Oklahoma rebound.
Kansas State's gone inside the last 2 times to try and get that 3rd foul on King, but he's done a nice job on defense.
Blaylock, Seeger, moving around the perimeter. Mullins takes a 3-point shot. Boy, that's 6 3-pointers now for Oklahoma.
He's not even a starter.
And it's 51-33 Oklahoma. Kansas State, as we mentioned, won the earlier meeting, holding the Sooners to 62 points. And that shot is good by Richmond. The Sooners got 62 points in the game in Manhattan. They've got 51 already in the first half of this one. Now it's 53. Or I beg your pardon. It is 53. Here come the Wildcats. McCoy couldn't handle a bounce pass out of bounds.
Nice pass by Richmond that time. McCoy should have been able to maintain control.
Martin goes to the bench. Grant comes back in. Martin gets a round of applause. Pretty good 6th man to come off that bench, huh?
Can you imagine the feeling of Kansas State? Even though they trade baskets with Oklahoma, it seems like Oklahoma gets the 3-pointer when they score the 2.
They take 2 steps forward, and Oklahoma takes 3 steps forward. Seeger looking at the clock, 40 seconds to go in the first half, 30 seconds on the shot clock, and a whistle stops the play.
I think Fred McCoy was called for pushing Harvey Grant down in the low post.
McCoy gets his first. And Harvey Grant will go to the line. The General from Sparta, Georgia. 6'8" senior. Leads the Big 8 in rebounds. This guy is kind of a, you know, he just goes along, scores his 22 points a game, gets his rebounds, and you just hardly notice that he's out there. He does everything so smoothly.
What I like about him, he has a role to play. He assumes that role and does an excellent job of it. I don't know if you could put your finger on any one Sooner and says that he's really the cog, and we've got to make sure that he carries the load.
Grant 1 for 2, and Kansas State comes out of there with it, and Grant got away with a pushing potential foul. Now Kansas State. Shot clock is off. 29 seconds to go in the first half. Richmond shot clock. Richmond trying to get his own ball off the floor, and does, and a foul is called on Seeger. And a technical is called on Oklahoma. Seeger got a technical.
Nice block on the play. Richmond had the presence of mind to get the block shot. Watch him penetrate in the middle. Boy, watch that defensive man set for him. Stacey King comes up with the block, and Richmond, a little off balance, still got it back, and then Seeger goes to the corner and made the contact. Then Seeger was contesting. He's saying Richmond threw an elbow, and I think the official interpreted that as a disagreement with the call.
Richmond on the free throw.
Should be getting the one-on-one for the foul on the outside because both teams are in a one-on-one, and then a technical should be assessed.
20 points for Richmond.
His second.
Now the technical coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that
21 points. 22 seconds to go in the first half. The Sooners have now set a record for the most blocks by a team in the Big 8. They do that so well. They also steal the ball very well. Kansas State the inbound. 20 seconds left in the first half. Take away by Oklahoma. Talk about double team, triple team there. Now Oklahoma will play for the shot. 13 seconds. Blaylock takes a look at the clock. Oklahoma leading 54-38 in the first half. To King, baseline, and he is fouled by McCoy.
When you let that postman put the ball on the floor and go the baseline, you're not going to get any help. They've got to turn him back to the middle.
So King will go to the line. Talking about Stacy's little friend, Brett Stubblefield, who will go to surgery to have a heart transplant. And Stacy said, you know, it really puts things into perspective when you think of what Brett is going to be going through, and you just go out and play a basketball game, even though it's so big, seemingly, it still is a rather minor detail when you compare it with some of the things that others are faced with as life goes on. Okay, we've reached the halftime. Oklahoma 56, Kansas State 38. Well, Glenn Potter, it would appear that Billy Tubbs has accomplished the defensive effort that he was working on yesterday during the practice session.
You're right. You can look at the scoreboard and see that they have scored 56, just 6 points less than their total score when they were in Manhattan. But it's not just their offense, it's their defense that's created so many opportunities for them.
Mookie Blaylock has had 15 points to lead the Sooners here in the first half. And at halftime, the score, Oklahoma 56 and Kansas State 38. We'll return to Norman, Oklahoma right after these words. Glenn Potter with you here at halftime at Norman, Oklahoma. Going back to Oklahoma's efforts in the first half, they accomplished about everything they wanted to. Maybe Stacey King didn't, but just imagine if King were shooting like he shot last week here, what the score would be.
Oh, it'd be amazing. But the real thing that got the Sooners off to the kind of start that they got off to was their full court press. And they did an extremely good job. They got the Wildcats into numerous double teams. The Wildcats just had too many turnovers, and they let Oklahoma dictate the tempo of the game.
OU's got some special incentive today, of course. The Sooners won 7 in a row. The last team to beat them was Kansas State of Manhattan, and Kansas State had a 7-game winning streak until Missouri beat the Wildcats earlier this week. So this really is right now the battle for the lead in the Big 8.
You're right, no question about it. And at this stage in the season, you just cannot afford to lose a home game.
Okay, how can Kansas State catch up with Oklahoma here in the second half?
I think Oklahoma will give them the opportunity simply because they're not willing to hold on to the basketball. They're going to put it up. But Kansas State's got to handle a full court press. When they get it in the front court, they've got to take a little better care of the basketball, and they've got to get the high percentage shot and try and peck away and get back into the contest.
And a few three-pointers for the Wildcats wouldn't hurt a bit either.
No, that's true, but I think part of that will come if they have a little bit of patience, because they come down and shoot that real quick shot, which they did in the middle of the first half. That's the Sooners' game.
Okay, Oklahoma leading by a score of 55-38, and we'll be back from Norman after these words from your friends at Phillips 66. Let's look at the game statistically here, Glenn.
You can see that Oklahoma really dominates the statistics with the exception of two categories. Kansas State is shooting better from the free throw line, 82% to 73%, and they're also out-rebounding the Sooners 19-17. But the real telling statistic, look at the turnovers. Kansas State has 13, Oklahoma only has 2. Can you imagine playing at the pace that they play and only having 2 turnovers?
That is really amazing. You always look for that with the scramble pressure defense that Oklahoma applies, and of course they're making it work, but also with a scramble offense that they have, you figure they're going to throw the ball away a little bit.
Yeah, very much so. And the points off turnovers, Oklahoma's resulted in 18-5 for Kansas State. That's really the difference in the game.
Checking in on the scoring, Richmond, although he did not start with a rush, still leads all the scorers with 21 at the half.
He came on strong, and Kansas State relies on him so heavily, but he had 3 or 4 turnovers in the first 5 or 6 minutes that kind of established the tempo, but he started to get that back at the end.
On the other side, with the Sooners scoring, Blaylock has jumped to the front with 15 points. That's the one thing that impressed me about Oklahoma. Sometimes it seems like there's a different leader, a different pickup guy every ball game they play.
You're right, and look at the 2 players that came off the bench, Mullins and Martin. They each had 5, so they've accounted for 10 points.
We have a final score as Georgia Tech beats Wake Forest by 3. And SMU leading Arkansas. How about that at Fayetteville? Wow. Dave Bliss and his Mustangs were not expected to do a whole lot this year, but they are doing a lot. Kansas State on the alternating possession gets the ball at halftime as we go into the second half of play. They keep looking for Richmond now to McCoy at the baseline underneath, and he drops it in over King. King's got to lay off. He already has the 2 fouls, and we talked about how well he was able to protect himself, if you will, to stay away from that 3rd foul before the half.
I'll tell you where else King helps Oklahoma. He's that reinforcer on the press, and even though you break the front line of the press, he's back there goaltending. And if they could get him out of there, it would certainly make a difference in the press.
Well, McCoy fouls King, so they exchange fouls, and at the line will be Stacey King.
Ball comes inside. He's playing directly behind him. Stacey King gives a little head and shoulder fake. Noticed how often he's gone towards the baseline to shoot his jump shot today.
So he's there for a pair. Stacey averaging 20 points a game out of Lawton, Oklahoma. 6'10", a junior. Career high 40 points against Missouri last week. And he's got both free throws, and so Oklahoma maintains the lead, an 18-point spread here in the second half. We've played a half minute. Richmond. And they double team him. He comes cross court to Henson. Good fake and a good effort by Bledsoe.
Nice job by the Wildcats. They attacked the full court press a little differently. They only had 2 guards at the free throw line, and where they had 3 in the first half. Maybe that'll pay off for them.
Bledsoe going into Grant.
Traveled.
Yes, he did. Got up in the air and no place to go. That's the 3rd turnover for Oklahoma.
That either had to be a traveling or a jump ball, and nobody had their hand on it.
What's that old story? Guy gets mad. I think this happened to you when you were coaching. Threw the ball up in the air. Coach says, if that ball comes down, you're off the team. Kansas State's Richmond down the left side. Richmond guarded by Dave Seeger. Kansas State moving the ball. 23 seconds left on the shot clock. Somebody said by this time, Oklahoma, they don't pay attention to the shot clock. Three-point effort will not go, and McCoy can't get the rebound, and Seeger does. They say in 15 seconds, Oklahoma's already taken a couple of shots. Here comes a three-point effort by Ricky Grace, his second three-pointer of the game. Oklahoma 61, Kansas State 42. Henson almost trapped in the backcourt.
Kansas State doing a much better job against the press.
Work that ball inside to McCoy. McCoy loops it up there, hooking, tipped in by Bledsoe.
And it's the inside players of Kansas State that are getting the points. Now the thing they've got to do is match up a little quicker on the defense when Oklahoma uses the fast break.
61-44 Sooners. They've got the, here comes Grace again with a three-pointer. I just started to say they've got those guys around the perimeter that can really pop.
Not only that, but Kansas State hits the inside shot. Oklahoma hits the outside shot. Kansas State continues to fall further behind.
Blaylock takes it away. And it is Grant who scores for OU.
Usually when you turn the ball over against the press keeps after you a chance of throwing it away a second time.
Grace almost stole another one. Henson, 66-44 Oklahoma. Biggest lead of the day for the Sooners. William Scott, number 14, who started the game. Got about 8 or 9 minutes of the first half in action. Scott shooting only, well, I started to say only, that's not right. 51% from the field, that's not too bad. And Bledsoe gets fouled as he puts it up there. And the foul is on King.
Right, that's his third, and Kansas State's been working on him inside.
Team foul number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, with his last steal.
Well, it's tough to do when you're on defense. When that guy gives you that head and shoulder fake, stay on your feet. Kansas State's head and shoulder faking 2 and 3 times in order to get King off.
To the line now is Charles Bledsoe for 2 shots. 10 points for the game. Ricky Blaylock has set an NCAA record for steals by a junior now.
He's got a half a dozen games plus tournament time to improve upon that.
Mookie Blaylock and Ricky Grace are the backliners. Here come the Sooners. King off the baseline with a turnaround.
Oklahoma really has a good attack after the opponent shoots a free throw. They get that ball up the floor in a hurry.
William Scott front courts it for Kansas State, 68-44 Oklahoma. Henson looks for the inside man, McCoy. There he is at the baseline. King's got to lay off. He's got 3 fouls hooked in. So McCoy can probably do pretty much what he wants to do against King as long as King is in there. Here King tries to get those points back. Bledsoe rebounds it for Kansas State. 68-46 Oklahoma. 4 minutes have gone by in the second half. Henson back and forth. Billy Tubbs thought so, but
it's not back court because you have to have both feet and the ball in the front court. He had 1 foot in the back court at all times.
Exactly. And Henson cannot handle the feed from Mitch Richmond.
Bad pass on the part of Mitch. He turned his back on a second defensive player. Grant closed in, forced him to make a turnover.
Timeout with 15:46 to go in the game. The Sooners lead 68-46. We'll be back after this with your friends at Phillips 66. Or like one that your team will have on display.
You see the backcourt scoring. That's another 3 points by Oklahoma. You can add 10 more points for Grace and 5 for Mullins, and I really think you almost have to consider Seeger a backcourt player.
It is now 71-46 OU. You know, Seeger has hit 4 baskets today, all 3-pointers. Taken all the way in by Richmond, and Bledsoe wide open underneath. Started to go for a fake, and nobody challenged him, and it kind of stopped him for a minute.
Well, when you play against King, who's the leading shot blocker in the Big 8 Conference, you're going to think twice before you put it up.
And a foul is called on Bledsoe.
Foul is called on number 32, Bledsoe, his fourth.
That's his fourth.
You know, I really can't see a weakness on this Oklahoma team.
I can't either.
They are so well balanced offensively, defensively. Seeger is now a double-figure scorer as far as his season average is concerned. Very unselfish, especially on the press. He's the key. But all of the players play so hard, and they complement each other so well. They're dominating.
Mark Dobbins has come in to replace Bledsoe for Kansas State. Grant is on the free throw line. 81% free throw shooter. Second shot will be in play. We were talking about block shots, or rather steals a moment ago. Blaylock had 141 coming into the game today. He already has 3 to establish a new record. He's going to challenge the NCAA record of 139 by Darren Brittman of Chicago State. He might make it. Who knows? Pressure still applied by Oklahoma. That kind of pressure. Grace almost had a steal. William Scott picked it up, though. Mitch Richmond has been shut out of this half. He had 21 points in the first half.
Turnover, Kansas State.
Backcourt violation.
So the backcourt violation will give the ball to Oklahoma, and Lonnie Kruger, whose teams make few mistakes in a game, has been forced into a lot of them today by Oklahoma.
Well, they average 14 turnovers per game, and they had at least that in the first half.
Foul is called on number 41, Mark Dobbins of Kansas State.
Foul is called on
There they are.
41, Dobbins, his first.
That's an interesting
Foul number 3.
observation you made a little earlier, Glenn, about the fact that Oklahoma, with the way they play, only 3 turnovers in this game. We say the way they play with their aggressiveness on the floor. They go all out on everything. Grant on the turnaround. It's down.
To show you how good the Oklahoma press has been today, Kansas State, when they played in Manhattan, they had Oklahoma only had 3 steals in an entire game. And they have had so many more than that this game. It's unbelievable. And they're just keeping the pressure on.
And Grant gets another bucket, and Oklahoma, now look at Oklahoma go defensively. Almost another steal by Blaylock. And McCoy banks it in. It's good. A foul is called on Seeger.
One thing you never did see Stacey King in your picture. In practice yesterday, the coach was telling Stacey King, if we're going to be a good pressing team, you have got to be able to deny a pass inbounds to someone near midcourt. Stacey King did that, and consequently, when they got the ball to another player, he wasn't able to recover.
Fred McCoy on the line with a miss, and Seeger tips that ball out. Oklahoma comes up with it. Here come the Sooners. Harvey Grant feeding it off, going back to his spot back underneath, and turns it over to Ricky Grace. Blaylock looking to move that ball. Grant off the baseline. Won't go. And a pickup by Blaylock.
That's as good a ball movement as I've seen a team make in college basketball this season.
Again, the Sooners press in the backcourt. Finally, Kansas State zips it into the front court. The shot taken from the outside by Mitch Richmond.
You know, one of the things you have trouble duplicating in practice is a press like Oklahoma's, because they have so much speed and quickness. I know some coaches will put 6 defensive players, let your second team get after them with 6 to try and duplicate how many bodies are going to come flying at you.
Ricky Grace just picked up a 3-pointer for Oklahoma, his 3rd of the half, his 4th of the game, and the Sooners lead 81-52. 3-pointers today, 10 out of 15 for Oklahoma. And Scott gets a 3-pointer now for Kansas State. He has 6 points for the game. Blaylock, an outstanding performance today. Grant working off the baseline, off the rim. Kansas State comes out of there with it, and Fred McCoy is looking for somebody to turn it over to. And he does to William Scott. Oklahoma leading at 81-55. The Sooners charging toward that century mark again today as Kansas State calls the timeout. 12:32 left to play in the game. The Sooners 81, the Wildcats 55. And we'll return to Noble Center in Norman, Oklahoma after this from your friends at Phillips 66. Oklahoma leading at 81-55. Glenn, last week we were talking about OU's defense and the way they've really swarmed today. They've accomplished, I think, what they set out to do. And we mentioned that Johnny Orr said, you know, the one thing Oklahoma doesn't get credit for is defense. that defense makes their offense go.
Well, no question about it. In fact, this is the first year that I think Oklahoma has really played this intense on defense. In fact, many critics have said that if Oklahoma would play that strong defense, they may win a national championship. And it certainly looks like they're shooting towards that.
Kansas State in possession, down big here in the second half. If Oklahoma wins this game today, the Sooners will stay in sole possession of first place. If Kansas State wins, and that'll be a terrific mountain to climb, but it can be done, then it would be Kansas State. But right now, Blaylock with the easy one on the turnover.
Give Harvey Grant the credit. Harvey Grant went over to double team, and it seems like Oklahoma plays man for man, but anytime Kansas State puts the ball on the floor and penetrates the middle, they've got somebody running towards them. And when they do that, they're having a tough time getting out of that double team. Look at Harvey Grant come in there, slaps the ball out of Steve Henson's hand. Seeger gets possession, throws it ahead to Blaylock, and Blaylock ends up with a lay-in. Got a chance to make a three-pointer.
Blaylock, 19 points, and he'll stay with that. He has 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 steals. Pretty good afternoon. So it's 83-55. Oklahoma with 11:52 to go. William Scott puts 2 back on the board now for Kansas State, and he has 8 for the game, and it's 83-57 Oklahoma.
Even though Kansas State's getting humbled, they have got to learn from this experience and still continue to do the things that they do best.
Turnover this time against Oklahoma as King lost his footing, went to the deck. Call for traveling. Kansas State's ball, and Oklahoma is still pressing and always pressing in the backcourt. Kansas State clearing it across, almost a steal there by King. McCoy finds Mitch Richmond, and Richmond has an easy one from the right side. 25 points for Richmond, 83-59 Oklahoma. 11:18 left to play. Grant goes into King. Easy for King, and he is fouled by Richmond.
The thing that made that possible, McCoy was fronting King down low, and the wing couldn't get in the ball, so Grant broke to the high post. They hit Grant, which meant that King had an inside position towards the basket. Nice pass from Harvey Grant.
One shot.
McCoy had a tough time recovering, and King knocks it down.
King to the line. 16 going for 17. Got it? Stacy averaging 20 points a game. We mentioned earlier, though, the last 4 games he has been red hot. At 40 last Saturday against Missouri. 3-point effort by William Scott.
I'll guarantee you, if he gets open, he can knock down that three-pointer. Last year, he was number 2 in the NCAA in three-point field goal percentage.
86-62 now. Oklahoma, and a whistle stops play. Tony Martin is coming into the game for Oklahoma. Grant will go to the bench. And the foul that the whistle indicated the foul was on Mark Dobbins, number 41 of Kansas State.
And the lineup for the Wildcats, number 32 Bledsoe and 45.
Charles Bledsoe is back in for Kansas State, carrying his 4 fouls with 10:52 left to play. Grant, 14 points, 1 rebound. He takes a little rest. Oklahoma with Ricky Grant stumbling, Grace rather, stumbling, and now Seeger for 3 more. All of his shots have been 3-point efforts. The ones that he has made, that is. He has 15 points for the game, and here is another turnover forced by the scrambling, clawing defense of Oklahoma.
Merle, Kansas State's doing one thing different than most teams do against the press. They're not putting somebody in the middle for that short 15-footer. They're having to rely on that long diagonal pass. It's extremely difficult when you have somebody 6'9" hovering over the top if you throw an accurate pass. They have got to bring somebody into the middle of the floor closer to the ball.
Tony Martin just fouled, but Seeger hit another 3-pointer, and he has 6 for the game. And Seeger is making up for the fact that he got shut out at Manhattan. In fact, Oklahoma had a miserable night shooting. Unbelievable.
We mentioned 31% from the field.
They hit 8.5 in 3-pointers. I mean, I'm talking about percentage.
They're making up for it today.
Are they ever? Kansas State in possession, trailing 92-62.
You have to realize Kansas State is the number 14 team in the NCAA. They're no pushover. They're an excellent team.
Second foul on Blaylock. 16 fouls against Kansas State, 14 fouls against Oklahoma. Kansas State on the inbound. Mitch Richmond almost has the ball taken away. He is fouled by Dave Seeger.
They don't let up, do they?
No, sir. Not even if it means foul number 4. And he picks up his 4th. Oklahoma's got a pretty tough bench. Coming into the game is Mullins. Terrence, a freshman from San Francisco, number 24, replacing Seeger, also a Californian.
Mullins had a good first half offensively as he scored 5 points.
It's Richmond. Mullins has him defensively. Moves that ball well. Hinson takes a 3-point shot, missing, and Bledsoe in a follow shot blocked, but he is fouled by Tony Martin.
Uh-oh, there's a little push and shoving going on. Get away, Mullins. There's got to be some frustration on the part of Kansas State. Oklahoma just keeps coming at you, and that frustration level just about boiled over.
Ron Meyer is now on for Kansas State. Let's go back and look at the block.
Bledsoe's inside. Meyer's inside. Martin slaps the ball away. Looked like he had some leather. Must have made some contact with the body. And we didn't see the push on the other side of the floor.
We have a 92-62 score here with 9 minutes and 52 seconds left to play. Lon Kruger, an outstanding job at Kansas State. 14-5 for the year, 6-1 in the conference, undefeated in the conference until the Missouri Tigers beat him in the last seconds at Columbia. Prior to this game, tough road trip, really. Missouri and Oklahoma. Wow. Now the officials are kind of letting things cool here a bit. A little conference with both coaches.
You went through this last week with Norm Stewart, didn't you, and Billy Tubbs?
Right.
I think it's good. Cool heads have got to prevail.
This gives everybody a chance to take a little breather here and start thinking about something else. So the officials are, without a doubt, taking control of this thing. 92-62 Oklahoma, 9:52 left to play. The Oklahoma Sooners, after their 22nd win, Billy Tubbs has won 20 or more every year since he's been here, except the first year. Billy and Lon kind of exchanging smiles, but some of those smiles don't look real.
I think they were smirks more than they were smiles.
Yeah. Bledsoe to the line for 2. Takes care of number 1. A sellout crowd in Norman, Oklahoma today as Bledsoe connects on both of them. 92-64 Oklahoma. 9:50 to go in the game. Oklahoma's lost only 2 games in the last 75 they've played on this floor. Blaylock puts it up there.
Little underhand scoop.
21 points for Mookie Blaylock.
Thing unusual about that shot, he must have been 6 feet from the basket.
Ball knocked up in the air by Mullins, but stepping in to grab it is Mitch Richmond. Richmond had 21 points in the first half. He's had 2 buckets here in the second half.
Well, I think the Wildcats' strategies have been go inside, and their inside people have been scoring just like Ron Myers did there.
Myers adds the follow, and that's his first field goal of the day. 94-66 Oklahoma. We have a timeout call for OU. 9:06 left to play. The Sooners racing toward the century mark, leading it by 94-66. And we'll return to Lloyd Noble Center on the campus of the University of Oklahoma after these messages.
Corn growers around here know Counter gives you more. More rootworm control, more root mass, more corn. And Counter in furrow gives you more protection where it's needed most. Counter consistently outperforms every other rootworm insecticide, and you can't afford a performance gap. So get more of what you use an insecticide for. Get Counter at your local AgriCenter dealer.
If you like to drive, really like to drive, this is what your next car should be. This is the all-new Pontiac Grand Prix.
Get on your Pontiac and ride!
This is the 1988 Motor Trend Car of the Year. And that ought to be you driving.
Get on your Pontiac! We feel excitement!
Just a reminder that later in the game, Glenn and I will be selecting our Ford Player of the Game. So near the end of the telecast, we'll select the Ford Player of the Game. Be sure to stay with us. "12 of 17 three-point shooting. 6 out of 6 in this half. Dave Seeger has hit 6 three-pointers today for all of his points.
Merle, those coaches who don't incorporate the three-point shot in their offense are really burying their head in the sand. That's a vital part of the game today.
Grace going for 3. Will not go. Grant underneath, though. The shot was partially blocked, knocked out of bounds. And it'll be OU's ball.
Just before we had that timeout, Mookie Blaylock pulled up limping, and it appeared that he had cramps in his legs. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the pace that he was playing the contest.
Boy, he has kept a pace, hasn't he? That shot is going down for Harvey Grant.
When you get into a game like this, I think you almost have to ignore the score if you're a spectator. You've got to simply appreciate the athletes for the skill that they have, and Mitch Richmond just demonstrated why.
27 points for Richmond, over his average of 23 per game. Oklahoma zeroing in on the 100 mark for the 14th time this year. Grace turned down the three-point shot, tried to bank it in from the right side, and he was fouled by number 45, Ron Meyer of Kansas State.
That's good sportsmanship, Ron picking him up off the ground. Sometimes it bothers me a little bit when an athlete knocks an opponent to the turf or to the floor and really stands there and glares at them.
Let's see, that was a 2-shot foul, but it's 17 fouls now against Kansas State. Ricky Grace with 11 points. Kansas State 68, Oklahoma 96. Second shot to be in play. Let's double check. Ricky Grace 15 points. He shorted him a little bit. My stats are always unofficial though. Martin missed the layup on the follow. Now a three-point effort will not go down, and the rebound is pulled up by Buster Glover, number 11 of Kansas State. OU 97-68 for Kansas State. That's Henson at the baseline. Now underneath, his shot will not go, but Martin picks up a foul. Tony Martin.
Henson showing why he's such a fine athlete. Also a decathlon man in track. In fact, as soon as the basketball season ends, he trades shoes.
Tony Martin is fouled out of the game. We have 8 minutes, 2 seconds left to play. Tony, very popular player here in Norman.
Kind of quiet, reserved in comparison to many of their team members.
5 points, 3 rebounds for the day. And coming in to replace him is Mike Bell, the 6'5 junior from Montgomery, Alabama, by way of Lon Morris Junior College. They call him Helicopter, the nickname. I mean, it would figure, Bell Helicopter.
He's number 5 in block shots in the conference, so he also leaps.
Block shots, Oklahoma set a record today. Previous record set in 1982 by Oklahoma State with 138. And Oklahoma went over that right after the half. On the line, Steve Henson.
Mike Bell is averaging 5 minutes of playing time per game and is number 5 in the conference in block shots.
Both of them for Henson. 97-70 Oklahoma. 8 minutes left to play. You know, I was talking to a couple of the kids with Oklahoma. They really do follow those statistics. I'm talking about defensive statistics. Seeger misses the three-pointer, but Grant picks it up and misses a garbage bucket. And it's taken off the board now by Kansas State's Mitch Richmond. So Oklahoma 97, Kansas State 70, 7:36 left to play in the game. Hinson trying to shake Mullins at the baseline. It's pretty well blocked off, but a foul is called, and Hinson will go to the free throw line as Mullins fouled him.
Foul is called on number 24, Mullins.
It'll be his third.
Fans are getting a little antsy. They want those 100 points. One thing, Kansas State has never had 100 points scored on them at any time in the history of Kansas State basketball.
Number 12, Hinson, 1-1.
Sooners are going to be the first team to do that with 7:27 left to play. And Scott's #1 free throw is good.
I stand corrected. I'm looking through the record book here. They have never had 100 points scored on them in a Big 8 game.
And that one is good. 97-72 Oklahoma, 7:25 left to play. Ricky Grace, Mullins, Bell. Now they run the perimeter. Grace to the inside. Grant makes his move. It will not go for him. Here comes Richmond. Hinson. Richmond again. Got it. Three-pointer.
I mentioned Kansas State scored the last 12 points of the game last year. The Sooners have really hit a lull, but I question if they'll score the next 24.
30 points for Mitch Richmond. He leads all the scorers today. A lot of pro scouts who are here are not surprised by that. That three-point shot won't go down for Grace. The ball goes out of bounds. It'll be played in by Oklahoma.
Oklahoma running a very simple offense. They're simply putting 3 people on the perimeter, 2 people inside. If you sag inside, they're going to take the three-pointer. If you pick up outside, they're going to get the ball inside and shoot the turnaround jump shot, usually Harvey Grant.
Oklahoma 97 points. Grant again makes his move against Bledsoe. 99 for Oklahoma now.
Did he make a nice move on the baseline as he hooked Bledsoe, spun to the basket for 2.
Oklahoma 99, 75 for Kansas State. That's a three-point effort. It is good by Buster Glover. 99-78, a little more than 6 minutes to go, and we're coming up right on the 6-minute mark, and we are there now. So who will put in the basket? Grace tries to penetrate and is fouled by Steve Hinson, number 12.
Fouls on number 12, Hinson, his third.
Grace is number 6 in the conference shooting free throws. Averages 76%.
At the line for Oklahoma, number 14,
Grace
shooting the bonus.
He's taking a few fake practice shots here, and now he's got the ball going for the 1-and-1. And the crowd will tell you if he hits the 100 mark.
One thing,
kind of polite applause.
Billy Tubbs wanted to sustain some offensive performance this week. He said they were really in a lull, and one of the reasons that he felt that way is they had played 7 of their last 9 games on the road, and he felt like coming home would be a good thing for him.
17 points for Ricky Grace, and Grace and company keep the pressure on in the backcourt against Kansas State. 101-78, Oklahoma leading. 5:47 left to play. Richmond going for 32, and he is fouled, and he'll have a chance to get him. Foul is on Bell.
He actually fouled him after the shot had left his hand.
Indication is a 2-shot
Fouls over 21.
foul,
His second.
Richmond 74% shooter.
See if he brushes. Yeah, he hit his leg. Bell said, I didn't touch him. Well, he didn't touch the ball, or he didn't touch his arm, but he sure made contact with the lower body, which put Richmond down on the deck.
Andre Wiley comes in, number 32, a junior from Flint, Michigan. Richmond 10 out of 7 on field goal attempts, 8 out of 8 on the free throw line. Let me double check the points on him. Well, let's see. According to that, it's 28.
10 for 17 from the field.
Nope.
8 for 8 from
I
the
was
free
right
throw line.
the first time.
You're right, 30.
Yeah, I had 30 in my book, and I thought I might have had too many. 31.
One shot.
Richmond going for number 32. It's 101-79 Oklahoma. The Sooners have scored 100 or more 14 times this season.
And if memory serves me correct, this is the first time that Richmond has scored over 30 points and Kansas State has lost.
Kansas State down by a bunch, by 21 points here. Seeger, Grant turns down a move to the lane. The ball is taken away. Stepped in there. Ron Meyer to grab it, and Kansas State takes over. Buster Glover feeds to Bledsoe. Shot blocked. Now Kansas State gets a follow from Meyer, and he is fouled.
Kansas State not giving up.
No, they aren't. And Lon Krieger, you'll never find a Lon Krieger coach team that'll ever give up.
It's extremely important. Effort is one thing that you should never lose.
Kansas State 45, Meyer, 2 shots.
What's that old quote attributed to Vince Lombardi, the late Vince Lombardi? Winning is not the only thing. Well, winning is not the thing. It's the only thing, or whatever. And he said that wasn't right. Wanting to win is everything.
It's the effort.
Yeah. Second shot goes down, 101-82 Oklahoma. So the Sooners, with 5 minutes to go in the game, unless Kansas State can pull up a miracle, the Sooners will remain in first place in the Big 8. Wiley on the turnaround, not quite. And a rebound by Ron Meyer, who makes his 6'9" body felt there. Down the baseline comes Buster Glover, and the whistle to foul underneath. I believe Wiley will get this one.
Oklahoma's defense has deteriorated here in the last 5 minutes. Kansas State being very patient, taking the high percentage shot, starting to peck away at that lead. They've got it down to 19.
Stacey King has come back into the game for Oklahoma. Stacey, the 6'10" junior from Lawton, Oklahoma, and there he is.
I think the thing that upset Billy Tubbs there is that Wiley let them get the ball inside, and then when he had good inside position, he fouled him the last 2 times.
Meyer hits the first free throw. 101-83 Oklahoma. You know, you can never say never. I mean, you know, with the lead like this, you would think it would be a runaway now for Oklahoma, and they could just go ahead and wrap it up. But remember, last year, they had a 9-point lead with 1 minute and 17 seconds left, and Kansas State scored 10 and 1.
Well, I think they've gotten away from the thing that got them the lead. They're no longer full court pressing with and forcing Kansas State to do something with the ball.
Oklahoma with 29 seconds on the shot clock. Now to the inside to King for the turnaround.
One of the few times he's turned to the middle for a shot this afternoon.
19 points for Stacey King. So he continues to score well.
Boy, Richmond has good body control, doesn't he? He can go into traffic. He's got what you would call an NBA body. Takes very good advantage of it.
34 points for Mitch Richmond. All of Seeger's points have come from outside the circle today. Grant has him outside that circle right now. Ricky Grace. 3-pointer for Grace. 20 points for the game for the young man from Dallas. 106-86 Oklahoma.
Looks like the Sooners are trying to regain that #1 spot in the NCAA for offensive points.
Meyer missing. Oklahoma rebounding. Seeger pulls it away, and here comes Mullins and company. Grace for another 3-pointer. In and out. Out of bounds against Seeger. It'll be Kansas State's ball, and we have a timeout call. Timeout in Norman, Oklahoma. The Sooners leading 106-86, and will return to Lloyd Noble Center after these messages. Big 8 basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66 Super Clean Unleaded and Premium Unleaded Gasoline. 106-86, and thank you for the nice welcome. We're delighted to be back in Norman today, and the Oklahoma Sooners over the century mark for the 14th time this year.
And it's very balanced scoring. When you look at their 5 starters, Harvey Grant's the lowest scorer of that starting 5, and he has 18.
Kansas State's possession. Mitch Richmond in the corner, making a move, the fake, the shot up and in. Ooh, boy.
Did a nice job, head and shoulder fake, gets Seeger off his feet, and was able to step inside him.
36 points for Mitch Richmond. 106-88. Oklahoma with 2:50 left to play. Mullins looks for Seeger. Now they try to go to the inside. The ball batted away, loose on the floor, taken by Richmond. And Oklahoma's defense is back in the area. 3-point try by Richmond, and it is good. And it's 106-91, Oklahoma. 2.5 minutes to go in the game. Richmond, an outstanding day. 21 points in the first half. Got off to a slow start, though. And he got off to a slow start in this half. Again, a takeaway by Kansas State, engineered by Meyer. And the basket is good. Almost looked like interference. But Richmond gets the bucket.
Ron Meyer has done an exceptional job the last 2 times of knocking the ball away when the Sooners have tried to throw it into Stacey King.
41 points for Richmond. 106-93, Oklahoma. Seeger, Grant, minute 50 left to play now. 22 seconds left on the shot clock. 106-93, Oklahoma. Kansas State facing a second defeat. And a second defeat on this road trip, losing to Missouri in the last seconds, but Oklahoma with a big lead here. They're down to 6 seconds on the shot clock. And Seeger goes for a 3-pointer, short of the mark, taken by Kansas State. Here come the Wildcats. William Scott. Scott going for 3. Not quite. Rebounded by Oklahoma. Minute 18 left.
That would have brought them within 10 points.
So Kansas State hanging in there, trying to make a charge, even though they face a very big hill with a minute 8 seconds. Almost an impossibility, but you never say impossibility, do you?
No, Kansas State looks like they have run out of gas. They have really expended a lot of energy this second half trying to catch up.
There's something about being realistic, but something about always being hopeful, too. Foul is called. Well, with the break here, we would like to announce that our forward player of the game is Mookie Blaylock of Oklahoma. Blaylock with 20 points, 21 points, rather, and just an outstanding floor game. I mean, steals, well, that's a specialty of his, too. But our forward player of the game, Mookie Blaylock of OU.
You're right. I really think he triggered that spurt in the first half that got Oklahoma to that 10-12 point lead. Exceptionally fine defensive player. Set an NCAA record today as far as steals for a junior is concerned. A good all-around performance.
Mullins gets a free throw. Lon Kruger, an outstanding young coach. 14 wins, can still make the 20 mark before this year is over, which would give him 2 straight 20 wins plus seasons. Mullins connects on the second free throw. 108-93, Oklahoma. 50 seconds left to play in the game. Henson, Richmond cross courts it to Henson, goes for the 3-pointer, and it will not go down for him. King rebounds it for OU with 33 seconds left in the game. Down court come the Sooners. Mullins, King tries to bank it in and does it. Stacey King, 21 points unofficially. And Oklahoma leads 108-93 here in Norman.
Foul number 12, Henson, his 5th.
Travel arranged through Eastern. Fly Eastern by March 31st and discover why the fastest way to free travel is now 3 times faster. Eastern, we've got your ticket to triple mileage. That foul was on Steve Henson, and he is out of the game. We'd like to thank officials of both these schools for their assistance today. From Kansas State, Athletic Director Larry Travis, Coach Lon Kruger, and Sports Information Director Dwayne DePond. That'll get Mullins a bonus. From Oklahoma, our thanks to Athletic Director Donnie Duncan, Coach Billy Tubbs, and Sports Information Director Mike Trips, and Assistant Mike Krasinski. I want to welcome those stations joining us that are going to be coming along here shortly. Mullins, 2 out of 2. 110-93 with 28 seconds left in the ball game. Kansas State shot blocked, rejected nicely by King. Mullins comes back for two. Seconds left to play in the game. We'd like to invite those stations joining us as Phillips 66 presents Big 8 basketball. Kansas State going down to defeat. And the game is over and Oklahoma wins by a score of 112-95. And the Sooners get their 22nd win, are 8-1 in the Big 8. Kansas State 14-6 and 6-2 in the Big 8. We'll be back. The final score here in Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma 112, Kansas State 95. I'm Merle Herman along with Glenn Potter. Hope you enjoyed the game on Raycom. And this has been a copyrighted presentation of Raycom Sports.